I'm Misty Purcell. Welcome to the Luminous Fiber Arts Flosstube channel. I'm a cross-stitch designer. I also do some fabric dyeing, and I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about various things. I'm going to share my new designs for Halloween that I'm releasing this fall. I'm going to talk to you about some projects I finished, both like cross-stitch, quilting, weaving. Tell you a little bit about what I've been up to, and I think that'll be it. If you'd like to catch up with me on social media, I am on Instagram as Luminous Fiber Arts, also on Facebook as Luminous Fiber Arts. So the Instagram is a mix of personal and business stuff. I put more business stuff in my posts, and some personal stuff is in my posts, but also in my stories. Facebook is more my business stuff, and then I have a newsletter, which you can sign up for, which is really fun. And I share like new things that are in my shop, and sometimes I share recipes or progress from other stitchers. You can also find me on Pinterest, Luminous Fiber Arts on Pinterest as well. I'll link all these things below the video. I've got a few different boards going. I've got like finishes of my designs by all of you, so I post pictures there when I have them. That's been really fun. I've got one that's about decorating with cross stitch, where I post pictures of my own decorating with cross stitch or other people's that I think are interesting. Oh my gosh, what's the third board? I don't know, I'm blanking, but something cross stitch related, surely. So anyway, I'm all over. And so you can find me various places in addition to YouTube. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to talk about my Halloween releases now, and I wanted to share with you first my t-shirt that I wore especially for this occasion, which says, "I got a rock." I got this shirt on Amazon. I love Peanuts. I love Peanuts Halloween. So I had to have this shirt just for my own amusement, and hopefully for your amusement as well. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is, I never showed you the full reveal of my mystery stitch along design for the summer, which was a Halloween design. So I'm going to show you that now. This is Sneaky Spooky Spells. So this was a 3-part mystery stitch along, and now the full pattern is available in print and PDF format on my website, and your shop, if they're attending Expo, could also order it for you in print format. This was stitched on 32 count opulence, which is dyed by me, and it uses mostly DMC and just a couple of overdyed flosses from Classic Colorworks and Weeks. So I finished mine in a frame. Some people finish them as ornaments. You could finish them as pillows. I mean, there's so many ways you could finish this. You could do it horizontally if you wanted to, and that would look really cool too. But I just think this is so cute and fun. There's a little bit of back stitching, as you can see, back stitching and long stitches in the design, but not a lot. So that is Sneaky Spooky Spells. The mystery stitch along was so fun. Thank you so much to everyone who participated. And who's still stitching. Like, that's not a problem. Keep stitching. Whenever you get it done is fine. I wanted to share some photos of where people were at the end of the stitch along. I made like a quick little video just to celebrate people's progress, and so I'll insert that here. So isn't that awesome, seeing everyone's work? I think it was just so cool. Okay, so that's Sneaky Spooky Spells. And then let's talk about the other designs that I have brand new. So I have kind of 3 ways that I think I end up designing things. Once in a while, I'm very lucky and inspiration strikes and I get either a full idea or most of an idea just kind of flashes into my head out of nowhere. And when I sit down to draw it out or design it, eventually design it, it comes together quickly and well and easily. That is very rare for me. I think it's only happened, 2 times. It was Counting is Hard and Comfort and Joy. And that doesn't mean that there wasn't tweaking, especially with Counting is Hard. I had like the idea pretty quickly, but then where everything should go took a while. But still, comparatively, those 2 were designs that were fast to design. So I have the rare, like, inspiration strikes scenario. I have the more common, I start messing around with drawing or on the computer, and eventually an idea kind of happens and it evolves slowly. But it's like a medium speed design where I just kind of work on it over time and it gets done. And it's not fraught with a lot of problems or challenges. It just kind of happens eventually. And then there's a third kind of design, which is what these next 2 designs are. And those are designs where I have an idea, I work on it, it's not working. I don't know if it will ever work. I leave it alone. I come back to it. I decide to tear it all down and start from the beginning and like pick what was most interesting or important about the design and try to like work with that again. And so those designs would be like A Raven's Reply, Spring Scamper, Midsummer Song, and then these 2 designs. So both of these are designs where I started somewhere else or in a different form and I just kind of completely redid it. So first let's look at Hocus Pocus. I love this. I think it's going to be one of my favorite designs that I've ever done. I love how whimsical it is. It really turned out awesome. And I'm so happy with it. So this was stitched on 32 count antique ivory linen. And antique ivory comes in 32 and 36 count only, but you can pick any, cream colored fabric and it will look great. And it just uses a few colors of Gentle Art flosses, which I should have looked up before I got on here, but that's okay. It was, I think it's Licorice Black. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. And I used a 10-yard skein, but you otherwise would need 2 5-yard skeins. And then Pumpkin Pie for the orange. The gray is Moonlit Path, and then there's just 2 stitches of white, and I used chalk for that. So it's all Gentle Art, but just a few colors. So you might be wondering, why does only the cat have the white in its eyes? And I decided that I wanted the cat to be the main focus. It's kind of the magical thing in this design. And I felt like when I added the light to the other creature's eyes, then it distracted from the cat. And the cat, I felt like, was the thing that was important in this. It's kind of the creature that's running the show, just like in real life, right? So, I really enjoyed stitching this. This is kind of a medium-sized design. I think you could probably stitch it in a couple of weeks. And I used a size 24 Peacemaker's needle to stitch this. The pattern is available in print and PDF format on my website. Your shop can also order it for you if they're attending Expo. And I have kits with the fabric and the flosses on my website as well, if they're still in stock when you see the video. So I picked a frame that I thought kind of had a magical look to it. You can see there's some swirls, and I don't think you can see it that well close up. Maybe if I cover up my face. The swirls have a little bit of brown in different places, kind of an orangish brown color. And so, yeah, I was looking for something that was not just going to distract from the design, but was kind of a magical looking frame. But I think this would look really cool finished as a pillow too. I think it would work size-wise as a pillow, and you could put some trim on it, like maybe some rickrack or chenille, whatever you want to use. I think it would look really cool that way too. So I want to insert a picture of the hutch where I have it on display. I think you could display this a bunch of different ways, but I think it would look good, you know, on like a tabletop. I have mine on a shelf. You could put it in a tiered tray, you know, especially if you did it as a pillow. Lots of options. So I'm going to insert the picture here of my display with Hocus Pocus in it. Okay, so if you want to humor me for a few minutes, I thought you might be interested in hearing a little bit about and seeing what this design looked like originally and how far it came to being where it is now. Okay, so I'm going to pop up a picture of kind of some progress shots of where I was at. I started designing this in 2020, and I originally thought it would be an ornament, and I wanted it to be a round ornament, and I thought it would just probably be black and orange or something. So you can see kind of where I started, that I had the idea for this smiling jack-o'-lantern on the cat's back, and I tried different scenarios, like, oh, the cat's facing us, the cat is not facing us. Really wasn't enthralled with the design. The working title of the design was Black Cat Pumpkin Ride. Okay, so that's where I started way back at some point in 2020. I don't remember exactly when. Then you can see I came back to it a little bit later, and it evolved a little bit. I started trying out some different patterning on the ornament, but I really wasn't getting anywhere with it. Like, I tried some different jack-o'-lantern faces, the eyes bigger or smaller, and that was changing the ears, whether they're like kind of pointing forward or straight up. That was really all I did. I didn't get anywhere. So then I said, okay, this isn't working. Why don't I try just starting over? And of course, the only thing I had going on is the cat and the pumpkin. So it wasn't that hard to start over. Like, that's all there is to change. But I thought, why don't I just try drawing a bunch of different cats and see if any of them are interesting. So you can see that I like to kind of draw a bunch of stuff together and compare it. And so you can see I did different cat eyes and faces. I made the cat's head kind of more flat, and then I made it kind of taller. I made the black part of the eyes bigger, tweaked the body length a bit and the height of the body. So the cat got more refined, you can see, as I kind of played around with it. And then I tweaked the moon. Originally the moon, you know, was more of a curved shape. And then as the design evolved, the moon became this longer, elongated piece. Eventually I was okay with, I was willing to let go of the jack-o'-lantern being on the cat's back. And then in the end, I was able to put it on the tail, and the cat was just kind of standing there floating for a while. And then I was like, hey, maybe I can put a broom under it. So you can see how this is starting to evolve. And then, you know, the jack-o'-lantern's toothless. He gets some teeth, and his nose changes. I started with a crow, and I tweaked the eyes and the shape of the crow, and it looked much more interesting. Then I started playing around with borders and, you know, trying to figure out like what is going on in this in this design, which is always what I'm trying to figure out. What is going on here? What's important? What should come out? Where should this go? So you can kind of see the design evolving and me playing around with the colors and the motifs, like where should the motifs go? What color should they be? What color should the moon be? And then eventually, as the border was coming in, I felt like it needed something around the moon. And that's where I came up with the Hocus Pocus, because it was two words that were the same length. And so I could kind of squeeze them in around the moon. So that's just a little bit of a journey through my process, so you can see kind of how this design evolved, and I hope you enjoyed the little story behind its evolution. So that is Hocus Pocus. All right, so now let's talk about my next design. Okay, so this is All Hallows Eve. This was stitched by Tammy Maddox. Thank you, Tammy. Tammy likes Halloween, so it's really easy to ask her to stitch Halloween for me. I love how this turned out. I think it's so awesome. So this was stitched on 32 count Vintage Country Mocha by Zweigart. Vintage Country Mocha comes in other counts of linen. I should say this one is linen. Comes in Lugana, it comes in Ada, so there's quite a selection. And it uses mostly DMC, and again, 2 overdyed floss colors. Black Coffee by Classic Colorworks, and Porpoise by Weeks Dye Works. So yeah, I just love how this came out. I love Halloween, so these are just so fun for me to design. And then the frame that I picked out is just kind of simple, but I think it's interesting, the grain on it, how it stands out. So not too ornate, but has some interest. This is a fairly large piece in terms of like, where would you display it? I think you'd probably put it on a wall or a tabletop. Framing or possibly mounting it on something that you would magnet to another piece would be good. You could also make it into like a wall hanging. I think that would be really cool. Maybe even a bell pull of some kind if you wanted to. So this is available on my website in print and PDF formats. You can also order it from your shop if they're attending Expo. And I have, in addition to the pattern, I have kits in a few different fabric counts and bases, along with the floss, just the overdyes, not the DMC. So my kits, I don't include the DMC since most people have DMC. I just include the overdyed flosses. So, you could, like I said, you could display it a bunch of different ways. I thought you might like to see how I've displayed it. So I'm going to insert a picture of that here for you. Okay, so as I said, this is another design where I had to start over. And when I started this back in 2019, if you can believe it. I designed it. I thought I wanted something really small, like kind of a bookmark size almost, but maybe a little bit bigger. Something small and simple, I thought, was what I wanted. And, it just wasn't coming together. The working title of the design originally was Stacked Jacks. And the idea behind the design is that I have seen people who have they put a pole in the ground and then they stack like flower pots alternating back and forth. And I had seen someone do that with jack-o'-lanterns that were plastic, like ones that kids would use like as pails for trick-or-treating. And they'd stack them alternating. And that was the idea for the stacking the jacks this way. And so I started with that idea, but putting them in an urn. And so I just didn't really know where it was going. That was just the general idea I wanted. And so you can see, looking at the side by side here, that it was kind of more basic when I started out, like the faces, there wasn't any shading. And I was just playing around with borders and like putting the name in the pattern. Just playing around with animals. Like I thought about using a squirrel, but the cat was kind of more fun, and I had a couple different cat faces going on there. But I just didn't know where this was going. So I left it for a little bit, and then I came back to it. I started playing around with the background, and you can see the urn has vines coming out of it. And I'm starting to put some stars and things in and trying to decide if the flowers or the vine should have flowers. But at the time that I kind of got to this point, someone else came out with a design that wasn't this, but it kind of looked like someone had given us the same creative prompt of stack some pumpkins, have a cat and a moon, and I think there was a moon and something else. So I was like, well, theirs is way better than mine, and I just don't want to put this out, and I'm not ready. I wasn't ready to anyway. Halloween had already passed for that year, and I wasn't near done, but I was just like, well, this is kind of bothering me that it's similar. I need to set this aside for a while and then maybe just kind of start over. So then I came back to it maybe a year later or even a year and a half later. And you can see it's starting to come together. I played around with the jack-o'-lantern faces. I started doing the shading. I tweaked the moon quite a bit. I tweaked the cat. You can see a lot in it. I was messing around with just having it have like the front 2 legs showing. Ultimately, I added all the legs to the cat. I thought it looked a little bit better, but I was still kind of struggling with the layout of the design at this point, and I wanted it to say something other than stacked jacks, so I tried to think of like what made sense, and I decided All Hallows Eve worked better for me. So I was trying to figure out where it would go. You can see I was thinking the side, the bottom, and it wasn't quite working there. And then I guess, I don't even remember this, but I guess I must have been playing around with making it all black or something. I don't know, but there was a black version here at some point. So then I eventually figured out that I wanted a border and that the All Hallows Eve needed to go at the top. And in the end, thankfully we got to this, which is much better than all the other versions that came before it. So I just wanted to share those processes with you because I like seeing how other people work. And I also think it's good to just let people know that it's not like or anyone probably, I at least don't just like sit down and come up with something in a few hours. Some stuff takes years of working on it and then letting it sit and then working on it and letting it sit. At least these designs, I mean, this is 2022 and I started working on this in 2019. So 3 years, and then Hocus Pocus was 2 years on and off. And so I think that the space is valuable when I get stuck on something, like letting it sit for a while and then coming back to it with fresh eyes. Actually, a lot of the times when I think a design is done, I'll let it set, and then when it comes time to get it ready to be stitched, I'll look at it again and think it needs tweaking, and I will tweak it. So that's just kind of how I work. When I come at something with fresh eyes, I see that something needs to be changed or I have an idea about it. And so, by the time I'm done with it, it's done, but it's just that sometimes I think it's done, and then coming back, I can see ways to improve the design. It needs something. So having the time away gives me perspective. I think that's useful. So I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about my process and seeing the new designs. I hope you like them. I'm curious to know which is your favorite of the 3 Halloween designs. So please leave me a comment to let me know. I do also have the new Mousecapades coming out for Expo. I'll show those in my next video, and they'll be available from shops attending Expo, but I won't have them in my shop until after Expo. I'm just trying to space out my shipping with classes starting and everything. It's very busy time. So just to make my life a little simpler, I'm gonna space out what I have when. So you can look for that. They are super cute, and I hope you're enjoying the Mousecapades. But yeah, we'll talk more about them in the next video. I did want to mention one more thing that had occurred to me. Might not be clear. When you're seeing these pictures of like screenshots of me working on a design, I'm just showing you some screenshots, and often I'll like put things on and delete them in the progress of the design. So like my workspace can look a lot messier on my computer as I'm designing. So just kind of one of the ways that I work is I'll kind of design something, I'll copy it, I'll put it here, and then I tweak it, and then maybe I make another copy, and then I tweak it some more. And so I have like versions to compare. And then that just makes it easier, because sometimes the improvement that I'm trying to make actually doesn't look any better, and I want to delete it and keep what I had originally. So rather than having to go back and recreate that, I just have like, you know, multiple versions going, and then I delete the ones that aren't working. So the screenshots would show you like some versions of what I had, but things come and go all the time. And that's just kind of how I work. But I just thought you might want to know that. So, okay, so I have no works in progress, but I have some finishes. And so I'll share those with you. The first thing I want to mention, oh, I'll go ahead and get it. Let me grab that. Okay, so the first thing I want to mention is a design I had done last year as a gift to my newsletter subscribers, and it's called Joy. It's a super sweet little design and quick to stitch. A little bit of back stitching, but not much. So this was a gift for my subscribers, and then I just released it recently on my website for everyone. So if you're interested, you can download it. I have a blog post about it, and you can find it. Let me go on my website and see where it's at. It is in the freebies and news section, which is in the menu at the top of my website. So you can get it there or on the blog post. I mean, that's how you'd get to the blog post. This was stitched on 32 count vintage country mocha, and it used classic Colorworks. Let me check. Ribbon red. And then I used some Brick House mini pom-pom trim from Lady Dot Creates, and then I added this checked ribbon, which came from Hobby Lobby. So this was a gift for them, and then I've made it available to everyone. So might like to sign up for my newsletter. Sometimes you get a cool gift. I try to make it as fun and entertaining to read as possible. I actually spent a lot of time working on writing it and putting really pretty pictures in. So it's, I hope, an enjoyable experience for everyone. And sometimes I share like people's projects that they're working on. I've shared like recipes before. It's fun. So I hope you will consider signing up if you're interested in my designs and you want to see what things are new in my shop. It's a great way to get notified as quickly as possible rather than by video, which comes up later, or on social media, because I always do the newsletter first for the subscribers of my newsletter. So they always get the first notice of anything I have, towels, anything. So, so that's Joy. And okay, so finishes. I wanted to show you. Can you hear the rain? It's pouring outside right now. Okay. So this is Berries in a Basket by Jenny. Her design company is called Home Stitchness. She does lots of really pretty designs, and this one came out around my birthday a couple years ago, 2 or 3, I'm not sure exactly when, and so I started working on it. I stitched it out on 40 count macchiato using the called for DMC, but I changed the white to B5200 because that showed up better on my fabric. I also didn't stitch the yellow in the berries. I left that out. You can choose different birds. I think there were like 3 different bird options, and I chose the cardinals to put on top of the basket, but I think she had a robin and something else. So I used the same finish that I used on my design, My Heart Is Yours. I used some chenille. It was the same chenille that I'd used from Lady Dot Creates. And I used the honeycomb ribbon that's on my design, Gathering Honey. And then I used a heart charm and 3 small mother of pearl buttons, which I flipped over to the back side so that they wouldn't be so shiny like I did on Stitcher. So always kind of reusing ideas from other finishes and incorporating them, which is fun. On this particular pillow, I didn't use the velveteen on the back. I used just regular quilting cotton because I was conserving the velveteen that I had. So turned out really pretty. Nice design. That's in her Etsy shop. If you want to check it out, I will link it below in the description. Okay, and then I also got this framed. This is It's Halloween by Foxwood Crossing. This is stitched on 40 count soft pumpkin linen, which is dyed by me. And I used Black Coffee by Classic Colorworks, which is one of my favorite blacks. I think this is just so cute. And I saw Cindy C Stitches doing this. She's on Instagram. And I just loved it. So, I had a sort of, I don't think I mentioned this, I had sort of a traumatic, quote unquote, traumatic experience with my frame shop. I only say it's traumatic because it's like, oh, what do I do? Okay, so I've been going to the frame shop for years now, and in not distant past, I started having the woman who always helps me pick out the frames, Shayna. I started having her stretch my needlework for me because she did a good job and I needed to give a job to someone else because I do all the jobs in my business. And if there's something I can have someone else do, awesome. So I decided to have her stretch my pieces for me. So, last time I had a piece to pick up, she let me know that she was leaving and wouldn't be working there anymore. And I was like, okay, what do I do? She doesn't own the shop, but she's just the person I've been working with to pick out all my frames and to do my stretching now for a while. And, you know, the person that they have working in her place is new. And that doesn't mean they can't do a good job. But she said something kind of vaguely like, you can try them if you want. And I didn't know if that meant she wasn't sure how the person would do or she wasn't real impressed. I don't know. I'm sure they're fine, but it was just kind of vague. And I thought, well, there's another frame shop that I've ordered a couple frames from before and I've always stretched them, but maybe I'd give them a try for stretching my needlework and just see how they do. And maybe I can work with both shops. So I took this to them because I thought I'll just take something that's not my design so that if I'm not happy with it, it doesn't matter so much because it's not something that I need to get ready to get out. So I took this one to them and the owner helped me pick out a frame. He picked like really interesting frames that I would never even have tried and they were cool. So I liked that. Like he gave me options I wouldn't have considered and they were cool. And I thought he was very helpful. Like I agreed with him when we were discussing like what was working and what wasn't working. I really like this frame. There is kind of, I don't think you can see it that well. There's a silver, a little bit of metallic silver in here. It's so cool. So I just think this is like super interesting frame. So now I'm going to say that when I got it back, they showed it to me and it was kind of on this counter, which is high and I'm short and it was flat and it looked fine. But then when I got it home and pulled it out and actually looked at it closely, it was on a slant here and here. Weirdly, the sides looked good, but it was slanted. And so I kind of debated what to do. My boyfriend's like, well, you need to take it back to them and ask them to fix it, which I realized is true because they're in the business of doing this and I need to let them know that I need this to be straight. So I did. They were great. They had it fixed in 2 hours. I went to lunch with some friends. On my way home, they called and I pulled right in and got it. It was amazing. So happy with this. And I think it turned out just super cool. Now, the only problem I'm having is that this year, as I've gotten all my Halloween stuff out, and I got some new furniture, which we'll talk about, but I've decorated everything and boy, it's pretty full. And I had this one other cabinet where I could put like larger framed pieces, but now I've filled that with weaving yarn. And so I'm running out of room for Halloween cross stitch and I don't know what to do about that because I'm sure not going to stop designing it. It's my favorite. So one, I don't know where all my stuff's going to go. And two, I don't know where the stuff's going to go that I've stitched that isn't mine. So everything has a place right now. Next year, I'm a little concerned because, yeah, we'll see. I'll have to do some contemplating this year, maybe towards the end of the season, of what I can tweak to fit things in. But yeah, so those are 2 finishes. I have some more finishes. So let me tell you, you're going to be excited, I think. I finished Halo. Yes, let me repeat, I finished Halo. I started Halo, I think in 2017. Back when I was, you know, young and carefree. And then I took on a supervisory position. I started dating someone. Then I started a business. And then the business kept going and I had a job and oh my gosh. So it's just been crazy, but I finally finished it. I got all the border blocks done. I cranked and I just said, okay, my goal is yay many a day. And I made a system and that's how it got done. I was like, okay, how many colors are in this quilt? I can't remember. They're like 5, 6, something like that. I kind of grouped them like pink, yellow, orange, green, blue, and then gray, navy, purple were all kind of in a group together. And I think that's how it was. And then I was just like, well, how many blocks do I need? And it seemed like I needed about 12 of every color to make a block. So I just cut out 12 of the little half circles. I had some of the like fussy cut things already done, but so anyway, I used that guide. I figured out how many I needed and then I could systematize it. And so like I had some cutting days and then I was like, I'm going to shoot for like piecing 8 of these a day or something. It took me like maybe a week and a half. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, I got it all done. It was not fun to finish it that way, but it got it done. And sometimes that's just how it is. Like, if I wanted to wait for it to be fun, I don't know when that would have been because like I'm kind of ready to move on at this point. Like the curved piecing is more challenging than like a drunkard's path. So for me, it was difficult piecing and you just kind of had to push through. And I'd done like a million of these pieces at this point. So let me get the pieces and I'll just talk to you about it. Okay. And then this came from the book Jenny from One Block. So it's by Jen Kingwell. This is what Halo looks like. And then I doubled the size of this. So I think you made like 36 or something blocks and I made 72. Which I regretted at some points. Oh, so I would recommend if you're thinking of making this, you should really invest in the template set. And then what I did is I bought some of those grips that you can put on your rulers. And some of the templates, you're going to flip it. So this one says flip for reverse. So I actually put the grips on both sides and it was fine. And then it didn't slip. Other things I found useful were a rotating cutting mat so that I would just put the template on, cut with my small rotary cutter, and angle and go around. So that was really useful, especially for this piece, and this piece. Okay, so that would be my advice. I don't know. I looked at videos on how to piece without pins. It was just not possible for me on this project. Not possible. Maybe someone else can do it, but I could not. So, what I found helpful was to like fold it in half to find the center, fold it in half on the other piece to find the center, and pin. It's also helpful to cut your angled pieces on the bias so that there's more stretch, more give. I just sewed slowly. I used my seam ripper as sort of a stiletto to guide it through where I needed help. The blocks were not perfect. Probably none of them were perfectly square. Full disclosure. But you know what? It still looks awesome. When it's quilted, it's going to look even more awesome. I have the backing, and I've got like the newsprint. I can't think of the designer of the newsprint fabric. Man, I can't think of it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I've got the backing fabric. I've got the name of a quilter. My job today, if I can fit it in, is to call the quilter. I've done the stay stitching around the edge. Call the quilter, set up an appointment to take it in. And then I would like to splurge on this. This was supposed to be like my 40th birthday quilt. I did a 30th birthday quilt too, which was a bed quilt. But I would like to splurge and get custom quilting, which I've never done. And I feel like this quilt's really special. It has a lot of special fabrics in it for me. So I'm thinking that I will do that. And I'm really excited. So that is Halo. I also finished some weaving. So let's talk about that. So I've been doing some weaving, which has been fun. And first I did, I might have mentioned, I think that I'm taking an online class, and it's just something where you join, you know, you pay annually or monthly, a subscription fee, and then you can watch the videos that explain how to do different things, from like, how do you wind a warp? How do you dress a loom? And then, so like the first season is all about like learning how to weave in general, good technique, project calculation, math, everything you could want to know. Talks about some different kinds of looms, things like that. Season 2, which is where I'm at now, is about like color and weave, working with plain weave and playing with color. So the first sample project that we did is called like asymmetry. And so you're learning about the Fibonacci, using the Fibonacci sequence in designing, which you can look up the numbers if you're interested. But basically, like, that's how Jane Stafford designs her textiles. So the project was to do a gradient with a zinger color. So you'd use like 3 colors that are a gradient plus a zinger, with a 4th color as your background, or 5th color, I guess, at that point. And then do some stripes and play around with your project. So the colors in the project were white for the main color of your towels or whatever you're going to do with this, and we're weaving with cotton. So you do white, and then it was like black, or maybe very, very dark gray, medium gray, light gray, and then the zinger color was red. And I'm not like opposed to those colors, but I wasn't super excited about them. And so I decided to choose my own colors. So I went with white, and then a navy, a medium blue, a light blue, and then my zinger color was yellow. And looking for the one that we start with. So she kind of has like a request that you do this one project, and then she shows you a bunch of examples of ideas and wants you to just play. So you're supposed to like do one thing, and then you have all this extra warp to play with. And then, so this is the first project, which is just to weave like a square. You're weaving, like the way you warped your loom is how you weave. So this was supposed to be a square, but when I hemmed it, I kind of made it less than a square. And then this is a square, and this is a square, and this is a square, 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 and so on. So like, you know, when I got to this point, I'm doing the yellow, then I do white again. Then I got to this point, I'm doing the darker blue. And so whatever was here, you were weaving it here. If that makes any sense. It probably is super confusing the way I'm explaining it, so I'm sorry that it's confusing. So that dictated the size of this. I had to have it be this length if I wanted to do what she'd asked, which I didn't have to do, but I thought I would try it. This is kind of, for me, small. I mean, this is just a sample. It's not useful to me for anything. I guess it could be a napkin, but it's not, to me, it's too narrow to be a towel. So that was kind of a thing where I don't usually do that. I don't usually make samples that are like big and I can't use them, but I just thought, well, I'm just going to try this and see what happens, even though it's not what I would normally do. So then played around with using my dark color and making some stripes. So this is the same. I mean, nothing has changed except that I'm changing the colors as I'm throwing them back and forth across the loom, the weft yarn. So I played around with some stripe sections. This was at the very end when I ran out of yarn. But again, just playing around with like different colors of stripes and the frequency of stripes. So that was fun. And more experiments with partial sections of stripes. So the idea is that you try these different things out and then you can apply them to future projects. So yeah, I mean, it was interesting, and I just followed some of the instructions, you know, of different examples, and then I kind of did my own thing as well. And then this one, I kind of accidentally made up my own striping sequence by trying to do something different, forgetting what I was doing, going back to something else, and then I had to keep repeating the mistake to make it a pattern. And then I did a little twill here in the stripes, which is interesting. On the back, it looks totally different. Like it's much lighter, you can see. And I can decide which side's the front side. I just decided to make this the front because I liked this more than that. So this is getting to be a decent size. Like this is closer to a towel, but still not as wide as I would like for a towel. And then I also had this one, more stripe play. So very interesting. I got a little bored, to be honest. But it was still interesting to do, and, you know, interesting to see the effect. And I'll definitely be using this in future for experiments. So I did that. That was one class. Watched some other classes. I did a problem solving thing. I had a problem with my warp, always having this smile where the edges are up higher than the middle. And I've read different things about why, and I've tried a million different things, and none of them really solved the problem. And finally, I rewatched some of the beginning videos and realized that when I'm tying the warp onto the loom, the little bunches that I was making were much bigger than she recommended. I didn't realize that. So I was doing maybe twice as much in a bundle, and I think that was just throwing off the tension some. So once I changed that, much better. So happy. I don't know why that didn't sink in, that was the way to fix it, or like that I wasn't doing what was recommended, but I just didn't have any notes saying how many. I thought it was like an inch. I must have made that note from something else that wasn't the class. Like an inch worth of yarn. So I had to go way less. So then I did this thing called Crackle. I saw someone post some pictures of towels on Ravelry weaving Crackle, and I loved her colors so much. They were just, the towels were beautiful. I couldn't stop thinking about them. So there was a similar pattern that Jane Stafford has on her website. It's a fundraiser. They're called Stash Crackle Pop towels, tea towels. And so I bought it, and I ordered the yarn. I made a couple changes, but I liked the person's color choices, but I just thought that I might not use that particular red or that kind of lilac color. So I picked like a pink that I thought was more me and a red that I thought was a little bit more me. And I ordered them and ordered everything. I watched, Jane had just come out with the videos on how to weave Crackle, so I watched those. Ran into some problems. Like my warp had some breakage. I did some stupid things. Anyway, there were problems. I thought that it might not turn out okay at all, but it did. It turned out fine, which was awesome because I had kind of low expectations after making some mistakes. So I played around. I followed some of the patterns. I did some of my own stuff. And so here's what I got. So I kind of followed what Elizabeth Seeds, I think that's her name, on Ravelry had done in terms of like, I made mine a different width then sheeted. So I just distributed my stripes, kind of using Fibonacci and applying it to the number of threads that I was going to do across the project. So there's red, then there's a yellow, pink, red. And then my warp, or that was my warp, and then my weft is 2 yarns. So Crackle is a 2 shuttle weave most often. There's 1 shuttle holding a thinner thread that ties down your floats, and that would be the light blue that you're seeing peeking out here and on the edges. And then there's a thicker thread in the other shuttle, and that's the pattern. So the ground cloth is made with the warp and then the light blue weft, and then the patterning is made also with this thicker blue peacock color. So it was really hard at first for me. I have only done 1 other 2 shuttle weave, and trying to keep your feet doing the right things. Like, the actual weaving is kind of simple in the sense that you're pressing the same pedal over and over again with 1 foot. Like, your right foot presses treadle 4 like 6 times. But in between that, your left foot has to go back and forth between treadle 1 and 2. So it's like treadle 1, throw, beat, change your feet. And so it's like not screwing that up is the hard part. But then once you get that muscle memory going, then it's a lot easier. So it just took me a while to get the muscle memory going, and then I was fine. So this was the first one that I did. This one's going to be a birthday gift for my friend. And these turned out much bigger than I normally do as I was just following the pattern, but I actually really like the size. And so they're also longer to some extent, depended on the project, but yeah. So this is one. And then I want to show you this because look at how different the effect is by just changing the weft yarn. So for this one, I did orange as my thinner weft, and then for my thicker weft I did orange again, and I did red, and I alternated. And that looks, this one ended up being huge because you're supposed to do 3 colors and I only did 2, and then in order to like make the ends the same, then I had to do like extra repeats. So this is like the ginormous practically bath towel. And you can, one thing that's kind of cool is looking at the front and back of the cloth, and I could again decide what's the front and the back. So here the hole is open, but here it's filled in. So it's just kind of neat to compare the patterning on the front and back. So kind of opposite. Okay, so then I did this one. This one has orange in the pattern, or in the tabby weft, and then the pattern is blue again. And I did stripes at both ends, which was one of the pattern instructions. And then this is the other side. I love how these feel. They're so nice and squishy. And then I did this one. And on this one, I played around with shortening the pattern repeat, shortening the motif. So instead of pressing the treadle 6 times, I did 4 times, which gave me like a flatter looking motif. And then I also played around with changing the color of the pattern weft and making some stripes. And that was fun. And then I thought I had enough for a full other towel, but I had like a very small towel. I played around with that, and then I ran out of yarn, so I was done. Ran out of weft yarn, so there's nothing left on the loom really to weave with. So that was a super fun project. I would like to do this again and do some different colors and just play around some more. So I will definitely be doing more with that. And then I've got another project on the loom currently, so I'm enjoying that. And I'll probably put 1 or 2 of these towels in my shop, and I'll let people know in my newsletter. So if you're interested in a towel, make sure you sign up for the newsletter so that you'll know when I have them. I'm not sure how soon I'll put them in my shop. I might wait until I have more towels. It'll just kind of depend on my time. Okay, so I think those are all of my crafty endeavors. I thought I would talk a little bit about some decorating things and some antique shopping and things like that. Okay, so we can call this like the acquisition segment, I guess, of the video. So first I wanted to say thank you. I received a handmade gift, and so I thought I would share since it's handmade. This was from Sandy, and her husband made this. It's a needle minder. Their business is called Art and Soul Makery. And isn't that so cool? So he carved this out of wood. And it's this cute little needle minder. So thank you so much, Sandy. Appreciate the gift. And I got to have lunch with her recently, so that was really fun. Okay, I'll link her Etsy shop in case you're interested in checking out her needle minders that she has there and other things. So I don't know exactly what the story is behind these because I didn't bother to look it up. But you probably have seen these primer cards. And they say, in this case, they say primer on them. And they say all different kinds of things. So I've looked at different ones that I've liked, but I started following this person on Instagram who has an Etsy shop. And her Etsy shop and her Instagram are Cari Kraft. And she just had really cool cards. Like, cooler than your average. And so, let's see if it focuses there. Doesn't really want to. I'll put her info below. Anyway, I ordered from her and I just wanted to share because I thought, wow, outstanding. One, what I liked about her shop is she had interesting things. So it wasn't just like the cards, but they were cool cards. She had mini versions of the cards. They came in packs. She had number cards. She had garland. She had just come out with these little price tags. And then the packaging ones I ordered, amazing. I had a garland. Look how pretty that packaging is. I kind of made it not so pretty, but there was a garland in here. And then I ordered some number cards. It says math counts, and you can see that I got one for Christmas. It's like a pack, and there's like a Halloween, and it's really cool. The price tags, I already took the 31 out. But you can see you could do Christmas, and then you can do any time, including Halloween, with your different numbers, whichever you want to display. So one thing that I really appreciated is that I had ordered these numbers, and the day that I ordered them, she came out with this set that's red and black. And so she reached out to me. I was kind of bummed when I saw that I'd missed out on it because I just ordered the black ones. And she reached out to me and said, hey, I just released these at the same price. Would you rather have those? And I was like, thank you. Furthermore, she sent me personalized cards. What? Yes. Yes. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I don't care. They're awesome. And then she sent some gift ones too. Oh, so sweet. I mean, the packaging, the reaching out, the gifts. I mean, this person went above and beyond. She even included a little note on the back of this. It was just so nice. And she has a neat, you can do like customized things. I'm thinking that I think I would have liked them to be a little bit bigger, even though I think the small ones are good for some of my decorating. So I'm thinking about reordering the next size up. And there's even like jumbo ones, but you can get custom things. There's all kinds of, her shop is really awesome. You need to check it out. So that's why I'm bringing it up, just because I thought she just did an amazing job. I was so impressed. So do check her out. No affiliation. I just want to shout her out because she does an awesome job and I loved everything that I got. The little garland that I got, I love it. It's so cool. So I'm going to put a picture of it in so you can see it. Okay, so that was something else I got. The other thing, oh wait, yeah, I'll tell you this now and I'll tell you about the other thing. If you've been living under a rock, you might not know that Prairie Schooler came out with a new set of designs. These are not the annual Santa. These are just, she decided maybe that she, you know, wanted to do something fun. And she came out with this new chart. A merry mini surprise. So I have a few copies of this in my shop if you're looking for it. And so Helen, Barbie, and I always do a Christmas or Halloween or something swap. And we're doing Christmas this year. And we've kind of been back and forth about what we were going to do. Barbie had suggested Prairie Schooler. I had already stitched something for Barbie for Christmas. And so I was like, well, can I still do the thing that I had already chosen? And then this came out and I'm like, okay, can we do this? So I don't know what's going to happen with Barbie's. Maybe she's going to get it next year. I don't know. We'll see. But I am stitching this year for Barbie and Helen. And we're just kind of agreeing to like check in with the other one to make sure they're not stitching the exact same thing. So I've already decided what each one of them is getting. So this is on, you know, it's a new release. So it's not on the cardstock. It's just on the paper. But yeah, I was pretty excited. I thought she was higher than 215 though. But, okay, I don't know. Regardless, this is new and super cute. I love these guys. Okay. So I did some antique shopping. I thought I'd show some pictures of different things that and some video, of that. But I bought this, and this was not in an antique shop. I got this on Facebook Marketplace. I bought this antique Hoosier cabinet. Now I know, if you've been watching somewhat recently, I just got one for upstairs and it's like in my shipping area. And I loved it so much that I felt like I had to have another one. Now my dream was to have a white one downstairs. I've spent tons of time, and it's really fun, by the way, if you have time to kill. It's really fun to look around on Pinterest and Instagram and search Hoosier cabinets and see like all the different kinds there are, how they're painted, how they're decorated. So I kind of knew what I was looking for in terms of like certain styles that I thought I liked and would work for my space and the size and, you know, what I wanted it to have. And basically, I didn't want it to have the flower bin in it because I wanted to be able to put stuff in it. And I didn't want like what I have upstairs here in my shipping room, which is where there's like a big long door where the flower bin was, because unless there's a shelf in there, which there's not because there's a big, huge flower bin, then it's not like really great use of the space. You're going to have to add your own shelf, which is okay, but I'd kind of rather not do that if I don't have to. So anyway, I didn't want that. I like some of the other tops, but I really love the white enamel tops. So that's what I wanted. And I kept coming across things that were like not bad, but not quite what I wanted. And just not finding it. So I was looking at like Facebook Marketplace. I was looking in Michigan and Pennsylvania because I was in Michigan for a while visiting my mom. I looked at like every antique shop I went to. Finally, while I was at my mom's house, I saw one come up in Pennsylvania that was like 3 hours away from me on the west side of the state. And I was like, I think that's the one. So I had also spent some time, okay, just to make a long story even longer. When I was in North Carolina on vacation this summer, I saw this Hoosier cabinet that I just loved. But it was a round top, which I also love, but I really want to be able to put decorations on top of the Hoosier. But if I could have like 3 or 4 Hoosiers, I would get the rounded top because it's just, oh, it's so pretty. Also that the tabletop part of it was brown, and I would really rather have white. Even if the Hoosier itself wasn't white, I would prefer a white top just for my decorations. I just thought it would look better with my decorating. And I couldn't figure out how to get it home. So I wasn't buying it, but someone should maybe go buy it. It's at Buckeye Antiques. It's near Asheville. I'll post a picture. Anyway, so I saw this one. I'd spent some time figuring out how I could fit it in my car in one trip and felt like it would work. I'd done some measuring, and I think I checked with them about the measurements, or I saw that they had the measurements on there, and I liked it had like glass windows on the top, which it wasn't like an absolute must, but I liked them, and then it had a mirror as well. It just looked really nice. So we drove out there. I dragged my boyfriend along because I obviously needed help. They luckily still had it. I contacted them like a couple days before to check. Set up a time. Met them. They were super nice. I could not fit it in my car because I took the measurements at the bottom part of my car, but my car goes like this in my SUV. And so it didn't factor in some size things. So luckily the woman's husband was like really good at this. They do like antiques a lot. And he figured out that if we pushed our seats as far forward as possible, which luckily we're both short, and leaned the top up against the seats at an angle and then pushed the bottom in, so there were separate pieces, you know, you could take a Hoosier cabinet apart, then we could just fit it in. And that's what we did. So we drove home. Kevin's like, hey, there's an antique shop there. And I'm like, yeah, let's keep going. Yeah, I would love to stop, but there's no room unless I stick something in a drawer or inside of the cabinet doors or something. So we got it home safely, got it unloaded, and it's all set up in the living room. And I've said, like, it's kind of funny because people will tell me, like, oh, I'd love to have one, but I don't have room. Well, I don't have room either. Like, there's no room here. I have to get rid of things if I want a Hoosier cabinet. So I had to already decide, like, what furniture was I going to let go to have the Hoosier. And so I decided that I was going to let go of, like, a hall table type piece that had a few shelves, and I was using that as a display. And I thought that the Hoosier would be more useful because I could store stuff underneath, and it's, like, you know, enclosed in a cabinet. And then I have the display space on top. And I had more display space. So I had to, like, move my buffet over and then put that in. But it looks awesome. It's not white, it's oak. Part of me would like to paint it, but I really also like oak. So I really like white furniture and I like oak furniture. I like them both. So I have a mix now. I have a hutch in the kitchen that's oak. My dining table is oak. So I really like how this looks. It's probably not going to get painted white. Maybe someday if I move and I have a bigger space, I can have a third one that's white, or I just let go of the need to have a white one. I don't know, but it's fine. I like it. Okay, so that's my stories about my Hoosier cabinet acquisition. By the way, I still look at them when I go to antique shops, and it's really fun to see all the different kinds. So I saw one the other day that was like the one I had upstairs, except that I liked it better because it had cabinets that were short all across the top instead of like one big tall door for the flower bin. It was just like a small flower bin in the top that you could have taken out easily. So it's a little better laid out, I thought. And then I love this part because I love things that like move and open or modular. So when you open the bottom door, some of the Hoosiers have like trays inside of them that slide out. And so this one had a tray on the bottom, and it was wood, and then it had a tray in the middle. Well, the wooden one on the bottom, when you open the door, actually slid out with the door. It was not like all the way, but a little ways. It was so cool. It's like, oh, I love this. I just love the little ingenious touches. Really nice drawers, really nice piece. You know, I loved it, but no more. Not right now, but that was a really cool one. That was at Lewisburg Antiques. They seem to have like all the Hoosiers. Like I think I saw 6 or 7 there just in like one little area. So that's pretty fun if you're looking for a Hoosier and you live kind of in the central Pennsylvania area. It's a good place to go. They have some nice ones there. Okay, so I think that's it for designs, projects, and what I've been up to. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about kind of personal stuff. I think I'll let you go. So I wanted to say how much I really appreciated your responses to my last video. It was helpful, really helpful actually, just hearing, you know, that most of you, well, everyone was so flexible. And I realized that like pretty much every hang up I had was like self-created, and that's useful information. All of my hang-ups were my own. You all were flexible. You said like make videos when you can, make them short, make them long, like whatever. Maybe just do your own designs, you know, do them infrequently. Like you all just were like up for anything. And so I thank you for that. And I thank you for telling me that, because I really needed to hear that. So I'm just letting it be flexible, and I'm working on not worrying about it being perfect or professional and being more laid back about it. And that worked really well for this video. I was like a little bit, you know, nervous about the energy it would take, but it was easy. And it was easy because I stopped making it a big deal. So I thank you for helping me with that, because it was nice to be able to just make the video and not be super worried. You know, I kind of decided like it could be short, and if I got tired, I'll stop. And, you know, if I felt like going on, I would. So that worked really well. I'd like to go back to doing more segments like I have been doing, because that's fun and it's easy, but I just didn't manage it this time. So it's pretty much all been recorded in one day. So I really appreciate the time that you took to watch the video. And for those of you who had thoughts and wanted to share them, I really appreciate all of your comments. That was, like I said, really helpful. And so I took a couple weeks off just before now, which was so good. And I actually made it a goal to not really be productive and to do things to take care of myself. So I went for like walks in the woods. I got a massage a couple of times. I've been dealing with some back and neck pain, so that was good. I went out to eat. I had cupcakes. I saw friends. I wove. I sat in front of the TV. Like I said, I made it a goal that I wasn't going to be productive. So it wasn't like in past vacations where I'm like, okay, you have downtime. Now let's see how much you can get done for your crafts or whatever. Like I still maintained my shop, but I didn't put it like new things in. I just was like chill. I didn't work on expo. I didn't work on designs. I finished up a couple ornaments and then I was done. And that was really good. I don't know that I've ever done that. It might be the most break I've had in like, I don't even know, decades. But it was really good for me. So it's just a little staycation. And I was like, I need to do this at the end of every summer and maybe at the beginning of every summer, possibly even in the middle of every summer. It was just, I needed it. Probably still need it, but it was like a really good way to like decompress before things get really busy. So I'm glad I took that time. Did some yoga. I got a little bored. I actually wanted to get bored because then I knew that I'd be ready to get back to work when it was time. So that was okay with me, and just took it easy. It was good. So classes start next week, Monday. I don't have my teaching schedule. Maybe I'll get it today. Hopefully I'll at least have it tomorrow. Yeah. Probably I'm teaching Spanish 3. Probably I'm teaching 5 sections of Spanish 3. If I am, then I'm teaching on Mondays and Wednesdays. We will see. Expo's coming up. I'm getting ready for that. My booth's all built. Just finalizing some details. And looking forward to, seeing shop owners, seeing other designers. Interacting with people is the, most exciting thing about it. Like seeing everyone again. Even if it's on video, it's still good to see people. So I look forward to that. I hope you like the new designs and that you enjoy stitching them. And I will be back probably in about a month. And I'll talk about the mousecapades. My mom's coming to visit and help me ship for Expo. It'll be her birthday, so we'll do some celebrating as well, and I'm sure there'll be some more antique shopping involved. All right, I hope that you have been well. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today and seeing what I've been up to, and I will catch up with you again soon. Take care.